Jo is a new student at North Shore High School. Being the daughter of a NASCAR mechanic, Jo has always had to change schools twice a year since the age of 10. But now she is at her last stop before she can finally go to Carnegie Mellon University. Jo is excited, not for high school, but to finally be able to settle down in one place after the school year ends. But due to her having to change schools often, Jo became a loner with a highly evolved defense mechanism. On her first day, Jo's only rules of survival are: do not stand out, never raise your hand in class, watch your back at all times. Jo observes her surroundings as she parks her scooter in the parking lot and makes her way toward the school. It is all the same as ever. The only thing new is the town, because students everywhere are the same. She puts it in the same categories as the cars that she grew up around. The most dangerous vehicle of them all are high-performance, high-maintenance sports cars. Just as she thinks that thought, 3 fashionistas roll into the parking lot in an expensive sports car. Jo knows that life gets easier if these people like you are in school. And if they do not, they make sure to make your life a living hell. These people at North Shore High are called the Plastics. Mandy Weatherly is the heartless queen bee for the trio. Her minions are Chastity Meyer, who throws herself at every guy she can get, and Hope Plotkin, an uber hypochondriac and germaphobe. She believes that germs lead to ugliness and ugliness leads to death. Jo's #1 rule for survival this year is no girl drama. No drama at all. She wanted to keep her senior year drama-free and breezy. While walking down the hallway, Jo watches as a girl stumble and drop her notebook into the trash can. Something spills all over it and the girl takes it out, worried that she has ruined her sketches. Then, a guy accidentally spills his milkshake all over the poor girl. Jo feels sympathetic towards her. The girl asks her how bad she looks right now. Jo thinks she could not have looked worse, but that is not what she says. She reassures the girl that she looks fine. The girl introduces herself as Abby and informs Jo that she is on the welcoming committee and that she would love to show her around. Then suddenly, Abby ducks and hides near the trash can so that the Plastics do not see her that way. Sensing some major drama, Jo tells Abby that she can find the front office on her own. The girl then leaves. At the principal's office, Mr. Duval welcomes Jo to the school. He offers her to take up a drama class, but the girl prefers a shop class instead. When Jo enters the advanced shop class, she finds the teacher just relaxing back in his chair. When he sees her, he directs her to go to the home economics class. Sexist as it sounds, Jo informs the teacher that she is there for his class. The teacher is not too thrilled about that. Jo is assigned to be partners with a guy named Tyler. Jo sits next to Tyler. The teacher tells them to get started on their birdhouses. Jo asks Tyler why the teacher is so grumpy. It is because his sports team lost the last game. Jo takes a closer look at Tyler. She cannot help but find him so dreamy. She is mesmerized until the guy opens his mouth and gives her the easiest task to do in the project: decorate the birdhouse. That is enough to bust Jo's bubble. She tells him she would rather carve the dovetail joint. That impresses Tyler but not Jo. At lunchtime, Jo enters the cafeteria and sizes up the place and recognizes the cliques. As the Plastics are walking to their table, Quinn passes them by and compliments Mandy's chihuahua, Coco Chanel, who is sitting in her purse. Quinn acts like a fangirl of Mandy and the Plastics. Chastity tells Mandy that it is too bad she did not get the new Prada bag with fringe. It would have matched Coco Chanel's brown fur. Mandy tells her that fringe is so out, she is on the waitlist for the new Prada satchel. Chastity tells her that she has been on the waitlist for the fringe bag since forever now. But before she can say more, Hope cuts her off and talks sweetly to Mandy, so the girl does not get upset over what Chastity was saying. Mandy shoos away the freshmen sitting at a table and takes their place. On the next table, there is Tyler and Mandy's boyfriend, Nick. Chastity has always had a big crush on Tyler but was never able to get him to like her back. She gazes at him with lust-filled eyes, and Hope asks her to stop drooling. Mandy does not like the idea of Chastity and Tyler together, and so the girl needs to stop. Chastity, being dumb as a rock, has no idea what Hope is talking about. Nick burps out loud and Mandy groans. She thinks he is so nasty, but she is only dating him because he's getting a full scholarship to UCLA. Once he goes there, she can always visit Los Angeles and live out her fantasies. Jo is walking in the cafeteria when a guy tries to grope her. Jo twists his arm and defends herself with ease. Chastity finds that so cool. And so does Nick. He even calls her the hot chick in front of Mandy. And that just irks her. Mandy takes a seat, putting her dog on the floor. She wonders who the new girl is. Hope tells Mandy about Jo. She is in her bio class. There are already rumors about where she is from. Maybe an exchange student from Russia. Chastity earnestly wonders what they might have exchanged Jo for. Coco Chanel goes over to Abby. The girl asks the dog to leave, but he just would not. She feeds him one piece of her lunch. The dog goes back to Mandy and jumps into her purse. When Mandy puts her hand into her purse, she touches the puke. Her dog just vomited there. Screaming, she stands up. She demands who fed Coco Chanel, and everybody points at Abby. Panicked, Abby rushes to Mandy and apologizes. She even offers Mandy her Prada fringe bag, which her dad bought for her a month ago. Mandy is still on the wait list for that bag. The girl screams and calls the bag last season. She shoos the girl away. Abby is about to leave when Chastity puts her bag in the girl's way. Abby slips and falls. Everyone laughs while Joe watches this display from afar. Mandy warns Abby to stay away from her and storms off, dumping her bag and dog into the dumpster. Quinn rescues the poor canine for Mandy. When Joe gets home, she tells her dad about what she saw in the cafeteria. She asks him if her Carnegie Mellon application arrived yet. The man tells Joe to apply to schools closer to home. He tries to persuade her into doing that, but when Joe does not listen, she wonders why he is asking her to do so. He tells her that Carnegie Mellon does not even have a good mascot. Plus, Joe qualifies for in-state tuition here. Joe finds out that her dad used her tuition funds because of some financial strain on him. He is apologetic, but he had no choice. Joe gets all teary-eyed because Carnegie Mellon was her mother's alma mater, and Joe had always wanted to go there. The man apologizes to her for letting her down. He tells her she does not have to be strong always and hugs her. But Joe does not think she is strong. She can barely keep herself from panicking. She leaves there crying because she had gotten attached to the idea of settling down after having moved her entire life. Her mother passed away when Joe was only 1 year old. Carnegie Mellon was the one place Joe always wanted to go to, because of her mother. But Joe is not the only one suffering. Abby hopes that her swollen black ankle will be enough for Mandy to forgive her and move on. But Abby is so wrong. Mandy's status update on the school's social website was a hate comment directed toward Abby. It has always been this way with the two of them. Abby and Mandy have lived across from each other forever. And while Mandy seemed to have everything just as much as Abby did, there was something extra that the other girl possessed. While Mandy's mother was divorced and she lived with her stepfather, Abby lived with both her parents who loved her very much and always went overboard for her. Every event was a competition in Mandy's eyes. Abby always had it better. And Mandy still might have found someone else to hate if Abby had not done the unthinkable. She took the premier parking spot at school, officially making Mandy number 2. And Mandy cannot stand being second at anything. So, she rebelled and that started a war. To take Abby down, Mandy recruits Elliot. He is a geek and is on the web team. Mandy gets Chastity to flirt with Elliot, who then agrees to help Mandy out. Later, in the cafeteria, Abby is walking to her table with her lunch when Nick runs into her and slams the lunch into her face. The food sticks to Abby's face and all over her clothes, making everyone laugh at her. Joe watches in horror as Mandy makes fun of Abby. Hope gives Abby toilet paper instead of a napkin to clean her face. The poor girl is laughed at by the entire student population. Mandy takes a picture of Abby's soiled face and sends it to everyone. Joe is in shop class when Tyler shows her the picture of Abby covered in food. Joe deletes the picture from Tyler's phone. The guy tells her most girls would have laughed. Abby retorts, does she look like most girls to him? At the end of the day, Abby finds a crowd around her car. When she goes near it, she finds that her car is covered in paint splatters from a paintball gun. Abby is mortified. Just then, Mandy and the girls stop by in Mandy's car, and Chastity throws a toilet paper roll at Abby. Everyone laughs at the poor girl. Joe shows up after them and offers Abby a ride home. Reluctantly, Abby agrees. Joe drops Abby at her house and is mesmerized by how her house is a mansion. Abby rushes inside, but her art book falls off her bag. She does not notice and goes straight up to her room. Her mother sees the girl rushing up the stairs and gets worried. She follows Abby. Joe picks up Abby's art book and takes a peek. Abby has done some impressive work in it. Joe takes a look around the massive property when the door opens and Abby's father steps out. Joe gives the man Abby's book. The man worries about why Abby's car is not there. Was there an accident? Joe assures him that nothing of the sort happened, and Abby is not physically hurt. There is just something at the school. Abby's dad knows about the problem Abby faces at school. Getting awkward, Joe takes her to leave. When the man goes inside, his wife tells him that Abby is inconsolable. Something terrible happened at school. Her dad wants to make Abby feel better by buying her something. But Abby's mother thinks what Abby needs is a friend. That is when the idea strikes the man. He takes Joe to his office and offers her a deal. He wants Joe to be Abby's friend, and he is willing to pay Joe for it. He wants Abby's senior year to be perfect. At first, Joe is horrified by the prospects. One cannot buy friends. But Abby's dad, being the king of infomercials, is very persuasive. He has more money than he knows what to do with, and the man only wants to help his daughter. He is so good at convincing people. So much so that when he makes a deal hard to refuse, like helping Joe out with her college tuition, Joe is forced to consider the option, and saying no becomes difficult. But even then, Joe says no. Then the man brings in the big guns. He tells her to try being Abby's friend for 30 days, risk-free, and he will buy her college books for freshman year, just because she gave it a try. Joe gives it a thought. Abby will have a good senior year and Joe can save up for college. So far, that does not seem like a bad deal at all. The plastics are hanging out in Mandy's room. Mandy is on the Peloton, working out when Hope shows her a video on Mandy's page. It is a video of Joe giving a ride to Abby after the plastics attacked the poor girl. The comments make Mandy even more annoyed. All the guys think Joe is super cool. Mandy decides that she needs to recruit Joe so that the other girl does not outrun Mandy of her status. The Plastics are walking down the hallway when Quinn catches up to Mandy and asks for a comment for the sports team for the school paper. Mandy dismisses the girl and goes straight to Joe. She offers to help Joe out since she is new to the school. Joe takes a look at Abby, who is standing behind her, unaware, and decides to say no to the Plastics. She is not interested in their offer. That irks Mandy. No one ever says no to her, but Joe does not care. She passes up Mandy's offer to go and get a smoothie and catch up, bruising Mandy's inflated ego. When Joe walks away, Quinn catches up to her. She introduces herself as the editor of the school. Having observed that exchange between Joe and Mandy, Quinn tells Mandy how unbelievable that was. Nobody turns Mandy down. When Joe tells her that she did not feel like going with Mandy, Quinn tells her that one time she wrote an article in the newspaper that Mandy did not approve of, and Mandy added strawberries to her yogurt. Quinn is highly allergic to them. She warns Joe to be careful of the Plastics. Joe thanks her for her concern, but she is not worried at all. Later, Joe finds Abby and strikes up a conversation with her. She asks her about her artwork, but Abby stops her. She thinks that Principal Duval sent Joe to Abby because Abby is spearheading the welcoming committee. Abby tells her it is a stupid idea and Joe is off the hook. She thanks Joe for the ride home and then leaves. Principal Duval announces the homecoming dance on the monitors in the hallway. Mandy tells Nick that she has rented him the whole attire and he's good to go. Hope and Chastity praise Mandy, telling her that she is definitely going to be the homecoming queen. After school, Joe waits for Abby outside. When Abby arrives, Joe asks her where she can catch the bus. Abby tells her the bus left. Joe sighs. She tells Abby how she needs to fix her bike to avoid this. She asks Abby if she knows any auto parts shop. Abby tells her it is next to the coffee joint, and then offers Joe a ride. Joe gladly accepts. Her plan to befriend Abby is now in motion. Getting out of the coffee joint, the Plastics spot Abby and Joe across the street. Chastity waves at Joe, but when Mandy sees that she is with Abby, she gets so annoyed. So much that she squeezes the coffee cup in her hand, and the whole thing explodes. Soon, Abby drops Joe home. Joe thanks her and invites her into her house. Abby goes inside Joe's room. She sees a picture of Joe's mother and tells Joe that she is pretty. Joe gets a little sad and tells Abby that she was. Abby spots Joe's architectural designs on her pinboard. Joe tells her she is not good at art, and Abby offers to help her out. Joe likes that idea because Abby is talented. Abby tells her that Joe should see her paintings sometime, but then she takes it back the next second, not sure if Joe would even want to. Joe tells her that would be cool. That makes Abby smile. After Abby leaves, Joe's dad is pleasantly surprised to see Joe with a friend. While the man stands in the yard, he waves over to his neighbor. The old man on the other side of the road is a paranoid guy. He thinks Mr. Mitchell is running an illegal chop shop in his garage. He points at the cameras in his yard that he will use against the other guy if he ever does anything illegal. Joe's dad can do nothing but ignore the man. Behind him, the Plastics sneak into Joe's garage. Mandy is looking for something to teach Joe a lesson. She finally finds a tin of industrial adhesive amongst Joe's dad's supplies. The next day when Joe gets to school, she parks her scooter. She sees as Abby parks across from her. Joe waves at Abby and tries to get off her scooter, but she cannot. Joe realizes that she is stuck. The girl loses her balance and falls along with the scooter. Everyone in the parking lot laughs at Joe. Abby comes to Joe's rescue, but when she cannot pull her off the scooter, Joe asks her to help her get the scooter back up. Joe rises with the scooter, not able to get off it since her jeans are stuck to the seat. She wonders who would ever do something this childish yet genius except a bunch of mean girls. And then, as if answering her question, the Plastics arrive. Joe asks Abby to meet her in the bathroom and bring any spare clothes that she might have. Then, without waiting, Joe rides her Vespa inside the school. Nick and Quinn are blown away by Joe's coolness. She rides the scooter through the hallways and straight into the girls' washroom. She then wiggles out of her jeans. Abby blames herself for what happened. If only Joe did not hang out with her, this would have never happened. Joe tells the girl that she cannot live in fear. Abby gives Joe her art smock to wear and Joe manages to pull it off. When Joe walks out of the bathroom, everyone is gathered outside, laughing. In the monitor above, the video of Joe falling off her Vespa plays on a loop. Tyler finds Joe and compliments her look. Joe gets irked because it is not funny. But Tyler was not joking at all. Elliot even takes a picture of Joe in those clothes. The next day, Principal Duval announces that there will be no unauthorized videos by students on the monitors. When Joe gets to school, she is thinking that everyone must have forgotten about her little wardrobe malfunction. But that is so not the case. Everyone in the hallways can be seen wearing some version of paint-splattered clothing. Abby finds it also cool. Joe tells her it was Abby who started it since it was her smock. Chastity finds the new style cute, but not Mandy. She is just irked. She asks Chastity to kiss the student intern in the front office and get Joe's file. Hope is asked to stalk Joe. Mandy needs to know everything about Joe. Later that day, Abby shows Joe her paintings. The two of them bond over working together. Abby is happy to help Joe. Joe cannot help but praise Abby's work. It is incredible. Abby is simply happy to have a friend. They talk about their dreams and aspirations, and Abby tells Joe how she wants to get into art school, but her dad wants her to take pre-med. While Jo is breaking all her rules with Abby, she decides to enjoy a few other things like her huge crush on Tyler. In the shop class, the teacher assigns the partners a new egg drop project, where they have to design parachute-type equipment that can protect an egg from breaking during a drop. The teacher addresses Jo and lets her know if she wants to opt out and just bring deviled eggs to the class, she can. Jo cannot deal with his sexism. She tells him his offer is tempting, but whoever is the top student in the class gets a chance to submit for the Thompson Bird Architecture Scholarship, and she is very interested. The teacher explains the eligibility for the scholarship, which includes top scores in almost everything, and a glowing recommendation from him. When the bell rings, Tyler falls into step with Jo. His rhetorical guess is that they are going to have to win that competition. Pretty much, Jo agrees. Tyler suggests that then they should get in some extra study time and go to a movie. Jo agrees with that idea. Unbeknownst to either, Hope is spying on them. When she finds out, she sends a text to let Mandy know. Jo meets up with Abby and lets her know that Tyler just asked her out. Abby thinks it is a big mistake because Jo does not know who Tyler is. But before Abby can even tell her, Jo brushes off her concern. Mandy is in the middle of kissing her boyfriend, Nick, when she gets Hope's text. Mandy stops everything and gets mad at the prospect of Jo and Tyler together. She pushes Nick away and demands his car keys. The boy gives her the keys and Mandy gets to work. Jo's dad sees Jo going out with a guy. Jo tells him she will be back by 10. She compliments Tyler's car when she sees it. Tyler tells her that it is Nick's car. The guy insisted Tyler take it for his date with Jo. Jo is impressed and she wants to drive. The two drive away and have a fun day together at the amusement park. They eat caramel popcorn and even win a purple teddy bear. At the end of the day, when they are back in the car, Tyler tells Jo he is impressed by her ability to enjoy the rides without screaming. They get talking and Tyler wonders how many guys Jo has dated in her life. She has had to change so many schools, so there might be quite a few. Jo shies away from answering at first, but then tells him that she has never had a boyfriend ever, though she is breaking all her rules this year. Tyler is surprised to hear that. Jo tells him she has never played spin the bottle and she has never suffered through 7 minutes in heaven. Nick asks her if she has ever kissed anyone. Jo leans in to kiss him, but they both are unaware of the tape recorder inside the car. The next day at school, Jo assures Abby that her date went perfectly, and Abby was worried about nothing. Suddenly, a slideshow starts on the monitors in the hallways. It is a display of Jo's pictures with Tyler, while in the background, the speaker announces how Jo had her first date the night before. Then the taping of her conversation with Tyler plays on the speakers. Mandy steps into the hall with Tyler and a deceptive smile on her face. Everyone listens to Jo confess to being inexperienced in dating matters. The students start laughing and making fun of Jo. She looks at Tyler from across the hall and is just hurt and disappointed. Jo runs to the bathroom and locks herself inside a stall as she cries. Abby tries to console her. Jo thanks Abby and apologizes for not listening to her earlier. But Abby being kind only makes Jo feel worse about her lie. When she gets out of the washroom, Tyler approaches Jo to explain the truth, but Jo loses her calm. She yells at him and hopes that he stays happy with Mandy. She pushes past him. In the cafeteria, Quinn comes to ask Jo how she is holding up. 3 girls show up at Jo's table and tell her that they commend her decision to wait for the right person. All 3 of them fell for the same senior the year before and the guy dumped them the second they put out. They let Jo know that they think she is awesome. When they are gone, Jo can't help but wonder why Tyler even put up with Mandy. Abby tells her that he does not have a choice because they are step-siblings. Jo is shocked. She thought that Mandy and Tyler were an item. Abby is grossed out by that. Quinn tells her that because Mandy and Tyler are siblings, it would have been no trouble for Mandy to bug her date. That is when Jo realizes that Tyler had brought Nick's car to the date. Just then, Tyler storms in and pushes Nick, accusing him of bugging the car. Nick and Tyler get into a brawl, while Mandy comfortably enjoys the show. She asks Hope for more information on Jo. Hope tells her all about Jo's GPA and her dream college. Abby is walking down the corridor when Elliot approaches her, wanting to strike up a conversation. Abby asks him to leave her alone. Elliot apologizes to her for being clouded by lust, and letting Mandy manipulate him into helping her display those videos and make announcements. He even got kicked off the web team for abuse of power. Abby still thinks what he did was wrong, but at least his shirt is funny. In shop class, Jo forgives Tyler. She confesses to having thought about Tyler and Mandy in a little incestuous manner, but in her defense, she did not know they were siblings. Tyler is grossed out by that as well. Despite Quinn and Abby's urging, Jo refused to stoop down to Mandy's level. Jo even made new friends that she did not even care about Mandy anymore. In the lunch line, Mandy notices Abby with her new friends and wonders who those girls even are. Chastity tells Mandy that Jo and Tyler are the new hot couple on the homecoming website. They have dethroned Nick and Mandy. That, Mandy cannot tolerate. The girl piles her lunch tray with food in anger. It is time for Jo's shop class tests. She and Tyler create the egg drop parachute and the whole class gathers to see it. The teacher asks to put a boiled egg in the structure, so no one gets hurt or smelly. Tyler climbs on the ladder and drops the parachute while Jo sits directly underneath, measuring the distance. Tyler drops the structure, and it falls, breaking halfway. The egg falls on Joe's head and breaks. It is definitely not a boiled egg. Someone replaced it, and Joe knows that Mandy was the one to do it. Mandy was on a mission to destroy Joe's chance at the Thompson Bird Scholarship. The next experiment did not go any better. Hope exchanged the CO2 gas for Joe and Tyler's experiment with laughing gas. The experiment was an epic failure. Their last attempt at destroying Joe's life is to sneak into Joe's dad's garage. The three of them dress in camouflage clothes, except Chastity, who is in pink camouflage clothing, sneakily enters the garage. Then Mandy goes too far by filling Joe's dad's race car with coffee, and Skinny and Sweet, the specific sweetener that Mandy and the plastics usually use. When Joe gets home, she finds her dad in the garage with his head dropped in his hands. He tells her that something went wrong, and the car's motor is gummed up. He cannot make the motor work in time for his deadline the next day. He is expected to give a trial run tomorrow. Joe wants to help him. Maybe they can figure something out. But there's not enough time, her dad tells her disappointedly. Seeing her dad so distraught hurts Joe. And then her eye catches the discarded sweetener packets on the floor, and she knows exactly who to blame. Joe decides that she is now out for blood. She is going to take the plastics down, and she does not care what rules she needs to break for it, but Mandy was going to pay. She barges into the coffee shop where Mandy is and yells at the girl. How dare she ruin her dad's job? But Mandy is shamelessly nonchalant. She does not care at all. If there is no job, there will be no income, and then Joe will have to leave. Joe warns her that she does not run away that easily. Mandy tells her to get over herself because Joe is just a passing phase and Mandy is here for the long run. Joe retorts if the girl is sure about that. She leaves with Abby on her heels. Even Quinn, who witnesses this confrontation, walks away with Joe. Joe, Abby, and Quinn gather at Abby's house and make a plan to take the plastics down. Joe tells Abby that she does not have to do this with her. Abby tells her they are best friends and so she will do this for Joe. Joe feels so guilty about the lie she is keeping from Abby. She is about to confess, but she chickens out at the last moment. She does not want to lose her best friend. Quinn brings the archive papers on the plastics so that the girl can dig up dirt on Mandy. Joe finds an article about Mandy's annual birthday bash. Quinn tells her that Mandy's party is extremely exclusive, and everyone wants to be invited. Mandy never allows anybody to throw a party when she does. That intrigues Joe. The light bulb in her mind goes ting. Flyers are distributed at the school for Abby's party. At the same time, Mandy is so excited about her birthday party. As she gets dressed, Tyler walks into her room. She expects tonight to be perfect. It should be, Tyler says, since it is costing his dad a fortune. Mandy tells him most people would die to be her brother. That is only because they do not know what Mandy is really like. Mandy thinks she is perfect, awesome, and popular. Tyler corrects her. She is conceited, vain, and vindictive. Mandy feels a little hurt by that. Tyler tells her that high school will end soon and then what will Mandy have left? Joe assures Abby that her party will be a total hit. Abby's mom asks the girls to get dressed up for the party. When they protest, the lady forces Abby. She has so many dresses and now there is a good reason to wear them. She leads Joe into Abby's walk-in closet, and the girl is stunned. She gives Abby a green dress to wear and Abby happily accepts. Quinn tries to get into Mandy's party, but since she has no invitation, the security does not let her. Inside, Mandy descends the stairs, ready to face her guests, but is thrown aback when she finds that the only people there are Nick, Hope, and Chastity. Meanwhile, Abby and Joe's party is a big hit. Quinn tells them she heard Mandy's party has sushi. Joe tells her that pizza will be there soon. The plastics get out of the house and look across the street where the party is going on. Mandy cannot believe this has happened. While she stands there, the pizza delivery guy shows up. As he takes the boxes toward Abby's house, Mandy is struck with an idea. She asks Hope for Ibkek. At the party, Joe tells Abby that Elliot has been staring at her all night. Abby watches Elliot from afar as he goofily dances around. Joe pays the pizza delivery guy. Abby is about to eat a slice when Joe smells something funky. She wonders if the pizza guy got the order wrong and goes to check up on him when she sees Hope paying money to the man. Joe instantly knows something is fishy. She stops Abby from eating the pizza and takes it away. Hope informs the plastics of her mission's success. Then, the three go to the party with the clueless Nick to see it all unravel. When they reach there, nothing seems out of order. Nobody is eating the pizza either. Mandy spots Joe and Tyler. Chastity cannot understand what Tyler even sees in Joe. Mandy warns her to stay away. Her brother is off limits. Nick is searching for food, but he cannot find any. Everything is finished. Joe brings him a slice of the spoiled pizza. She then goes to Mandy and irks the girl. She tells Mandy off because she was not invited to the party and yet she showed up. Mandy tells her that Joe is not as clever as she thinks. She is just using Tyler to get back at her and Mandy will make sure Tyler knows it. Joe tells her that her love life has nothing to do with Mandy. She instigates Mandy further by taunting her about Nick not being near her on her birthday. Mandy decides to show Joe exactly the kind of love life she has. She storms up to Nick and starts kissing him. But in a matter of seconds, the medicine in the pizza takes effect and Nick pukes all over Mandy. Mandy screams as everyone starts laughing at her. She rushes out of the party. Abby and Joe could not have had a better night than that. As the days go on, Joe, Abby, and Quinn set out to disband the plastics. They start calling themselves anti-plastics. They bully anyone who bullies other innocent students. Every boy is mesmerized by them. But as Joe's forces double, so does Mandy's. They both recruit followers left and right. Joe's plan begins with wanting to break apart the founding members. They start with Chastity. Joe sends an anonymous tip to Principal Duval of Chastity's secret makeout spots. Principal Duval catches Chastity with a bunch of different guys in all these different spots. She is brought to the principal's office and detained. He then goes on the video to make an announcement, encouraging everybody to donate for the charity at the homecoming dance. But until then, Chastity attracts yet another guy, and the principal has to cut his announcement short to deal with wayward teenagers. Chastity storms into the coffee shop where Mandy is sipping coffee and yells at her for betraying her. Mandy was the only one who knew about Chastity's makeout spots. Chastity is so upset because now who will do her homework and tell her she is special? To scare Hope away, Joe says goodbye to Mandy's no bodily fluids rule. As Hope, the hypochondriac, walks down the corridor, everyone starts sneezing on her. Scared she would contract E. coli, Hope books an emergency healing massage and seaweed facial. But little does she know her seaweed mask is especially being created by the anti-plastics. Due to an unfortunate mix-up at the spa, Hope ends up resembling the Wicked Witch of the West. Her face turns green, and it does not wash off even after an entire weekend. She rides to school on her bicycle and gets angry at Mandy for not picking her up. Mandy tells her she was not going to give a ride to an ogre. Her comment hurts Hope. Abby and Joe are standing on the side witnessing this exchange. Joe is laughing as Abby asks why the color on Hope's face has not still washed away. Joe tells her that she added some long-lasting henna ink. Abby thinks that was a bit much, but Joe tells her that Hope deserved it. There are banners and posters around the school with Joe's face on it asking students to vote for her for the homecoming queen. Mandy cannot tolerate Joe's rising popularity. Joe and Abby are offering cupcakes to everyone in the hallways. When Mandy sees that Chastity takes one, she gets angry at her and calls her a traitor. Chastity tells Mandy she does not own her. Mandy smashes the cupcake into Chastity's face. The girl tells Mandy that she doesn't like her right now and Mandy just lost her vote. Joe congratulates Quinn on a job well done. If it were not for her research and investigation, they would have never been able to disband the plastics. Quinn has been watching the plastics closely for years and she only had to dig a little deeper. Abby is not pleased with the way things are turning out, but she refrains from saying anything. Joe is completely changed now. She is a fashionista who wears high heels and short dresses. She keeps inviting other people to join her group of friends and neither Abby nor Quinn like that. Quinn tells Abby that at least Mandy knew the importance of exclusivity. Joe just lets anyone join her group. Just when Abby is about to sit at the table in the cafeteria, someone pulls the chair from under her and the girl falls. Joe does not even notice it despite being at the same table. Later, when Joe gets home, her dad asks her to give him a hand with the car, but Joe tells him she has to go shopping with Quinn and then go for a movie with Tyler. She still has her campaign buttons to make. The girl is too busy for him. The next day in school, as Joe makes her way through the corridor holding Tyler's hand, everyone waves to her. It is like everyone knows her and suddenly Joe is famous. Tyler is surprised to see that change. She is drinking a soda when she wonders out loud how much sugar is in that drink. Tyler is a little shocked to hear her say that. This is the girl who ate 2 funnel cakes, a hot dog, and a bag of kettle corn on their first date. And she did not wear crazy studded boots. Joe spots Chastity looking at Tyler and so she leans in to kiss the guy. Tyler notices Joe's action and backs away. He cannot let her use him to make Chastity jealous. Tyler tells her that she is starting to become a lot like Mandy, and that is not the kind of person he wants to date. Joe scowls at him. She is nothing like Mandy. Tyler tells her that she is running for homecoming queen, humiliating people, using their secrets against them, and dressing up like she is on the cover of Rolling Stone, which could still be attractive if it was not for the benefit of others. Tyler wonders what happened to the girl he met in shop class. Joe is speechless. She has nothing to say to him and lets Tyler walk away. When Joe gets home, she has a big letter awaiting. She got accepted into Carnegie Mellon University. Her dad is happy that she received the acceptance. She got into a prestigious college, and she should feel happy about it, but Joe does not. He feels bad about losing her tuition funds. He asks her about the scholarship that could fund her tuition, and that's when Joe realizes just how far gone she is. All the preening and plotting got in her way and Joe cannot even remember what her grade in shop class is. Joe's dad gives him an envelope that Abby's dad dropped for her. When Joe looks inside, she sees a wad of money for her college books and a big fat check for her tuition. He tells her that to win the race, you have to be in the race. But it gets her thinking. What if she wants to forfeit the race because she doesn't think she deserves to win it? Joe drives up to Abby's house and sees her father outside. Mandy is jogging in the area when she spots Joe and decides to listen in on her conversation. Joe returns the money that he gave her. Abby's dad tells her that the money is for Joe, and she should keep it. Hiring her to be Abby's friend was the best money he has ever spent. Mandy hears this and her jaw drops. Joe tells the man that she cannot accept his money. But even as she leaves, the man tells her he will send the money back to her. The next day, when Jo walks into the school, everyone stares at her differently, like she has betrayed them all. Abby comes crying to her. Yelling, she waves the school paper in Jo's face and asks if her dad paid Jo to be friends with Abby. Jo is shocked to be confronted like that, but also hurt because she did not want to hurt Abby. Abby tells her that Quinn finally got her big story, and she quoted Mandy as a witness. Quinn shows up there. Jo demands why Quinn printed it on the paper. Jo was going to tell Abby the truth anyway. Quinn tells Jo to face the truth. The plastics are the originals who never have to pay anyone to be their friend. Jo yells at Quinn because she just sold out her friends for free. Abby retorts it is exactly the way Jo sold her out. She trusted Jo so much. Abby is in tears and so is Jo. But Jo has no words to say to the other girl. Abby storms out of there wishing she had never met Jo. Jo looks around and sees Tyler looking at her with similar disappointment and hurt. Everyone leaves Jo alone in the hallway. She cries as she stares at the news article. The plastics and Quinn sit together for a coffee and discussion. Quinn tells Mandy that she voted for her to be the homecoming queen. Hope tells her that Jo is still in the running for the title and it is too late to change the votes now. Quinn suggests that Jo will not be eligible for the contest if she is somehow expelled, and that gives Mandy a malicious idea. She tricks Nick into stealing the charity funds for the homecoming dance. Nick is under the impression that this is all part of a senior prank. Nick wonders why they are not keeping the money instead, and just to shut him up, Mandy kisses him. When she leans forward, her shirt lifts a little and a pink butterfly tattoo is visible on her lower back. The next day, the principal announces that the funds for the homecoming dance charity have been stolen. He is certain that due to the wanton disregard of the school property, that is, a doodle on Mr. Duval's portrait, the money was stolen by a student. Until the money is returned, the dance will be cancelled. The entire school erupts and roars in angry shouts. Everyone but Mandy. She scribbles in her diary that Joe Mitchell stole the money and that her house should be checked. Mr. Duval calls Jo into his office after receiving an anonymous tip about her stealing the money. Jo denies the accusation. She would never do that. But the policeman found the money in the shed at Jo's house. Her dad was pretty shocked when he saw that. Jo insists that she did not steal it and that she is being framed. She tells him that it was Mandy who did it. The man agrees that Mandy is the devil's spawn, but unless Jo can prove it, Jo is expelled. The principal will have to report this matter to Carnegie Mellon, and they may rescind Jo's admission. Life could not get worse than this. Jo storms out of there. The entire school is talking about Jo, and the plastics are only fueling the fire. Jo storms up to Mandy and is about to punch her, but the principal stops her in time. There is a very public confrontation where Jo accuses Mandy of framing her. She is sick of the mind games and backstabbing. She challenges Mandy to settle their feud like men instead of like typical girly planning and plotting as they had been doing this whole time. She challenges Mandy to a game of football. Mandy denies it. She does not do sports. Jo goads Mandy. She tells her that the only way she will ever become queen is by default and not because she beat anyone. That is a good enough reason for Mandy to accept Jo's challenge. Mandy tells her to be prepared to lose since she is only a team of one. That is when Jo realizes that she no longer has any friends. As she looks around the crowded hallway, not one person meets her eye. Not even Abby. Everyone is dismissed. As Abby is leaving, Tyler asks her if she believes Jo stole the money. But Abby cannot say. She doesn't know anything about Jo anymore. One day, Tyler heads over to Abby's house to give a letter that ended up in their mailbox instead. He hands it to Abby's dad. The man asks Tyler if he is Jo's boyfriend. Her ex-boyfriend, Tyler, corrects him. Mr. Hanover just wants to give Jo the money back. Tyler realizes that Jo returned the money, and he feels happy to find that out. That means there is still hope for her. Mr. Hanover was expecting Jo to return the money anyway, because how could anyone not fall in love with his daughter? But a deal is a deal, and Jo should have that money. Mandy babbles the rules of what to wear and what not to wear to the girls as they climb the stairs to school. But Quinn is not listening to her. She is distracted. When the plastics leave, Quinn finds Abby walking up and she goes to her. She tries to talk to Abby, but the girl will not have it. Jo might have lied to her, but she taught Abby to stand up for herself, and Quinn betrayed her as well. She asks Quinn to go away. Quinn tells her that Abby can hate her all she wants, but she does not think that Jo stole that money. Mandy did. Abby wonders how Quinn knows that. The girl tells her it is because she might have given Mandy the idea for it. Quinn also tells Abby how Jo spent a lot of time sending out college applications for Abby, and she even put together a portfolio for the girl. Quinn earnestly wishes that Abby can get into art school. Jo is working on a design when her dad comes to sit next to her. He tells her that Mr. Hanover called him and he is sending over new parts for the engine. Jo is happy that her dad can get his work done in time now. He asks her if she has heard from Abby, but Jo has tried everything. Abby does not want anything to do with her. She probably hates Jo. Jo is not sure why her dad does not hate her too. The man tells her that he is not proud of what she did, but he knows that Jo cares about Abby, and that she is certainly not a thief. Jo is relieved that at least someone believes her. And then they all arrive. Her friends who believe her stand in her yard. There's Tyler and Abby and 3 other girls. Tyler tells her that they have not forgiven Joe yet, but they cannot let Joe take the fall for Mandy. Joe gets emotional. She knew Mandy had set her up and now her friends have come to rescue her. She does not think she deserves them. She gets teary-eyed. Abby hugs her friend and forgives her. Abby tells Joe that they need to prepare for the game now. Tyler knows how to prove Joe's innocence as well. He points to the cameras across the street outside the old man's house. Elliot, the web geek, works to hack into the security camera across the street from Joe's house. Elliot assures Abby and Joe that he can get the work done and find the footage of Mandy planting the evidence. But he wants something in return. Abby knew the guy would not have done it for free. Joe asks him what he wants, and Elliot asks for a date with Abby and to take her dancing with him. Abby's smile is enough confirmation for him. He wishes Joe good luck for her match against Mandy. He says that they even have a little pool going on and Mandy is winning. Joe finds out that Mandy has been able to recruit the roughest of the girls by buying them out with expensive things. Both teams get to work, planning, plotting, and preparing to win the match in any way possible. On the day of the match, Abby's parents are so excited. But Abby cannot help feeling the nervous jitters. When her parents leave the locker room after wishing the team luck, Principal Duval enters. They wonder what the man is doing in school on a weekend. He tells them that he tried to turn blind eye to this, but he could not. He informs them that Mandy's team is filing a lawsuit against them because the game in the park is being held on school grounds, and since Joe is no longer a student at the school, she is not allowed on the school property. Joe is taken by shock. But Abby is prepared. She knew Mandy would be counting on something like this at the end of the day, so Abby came prepared. She did some research and found out that they will technically not be on the school grounds during the match. But she already secured a permit for Joe to be able to play the match. When all is settled, the match begins. The coach recites the rules and tosses the coin. Mandy's team wins the toss and decides to receive the ball. When it is time to shake hands before the match, both teams turn away and leave. The coach blows the whistle, and the game begins. For a long time, the Plastics are in the lead and Joe's team is getting defeated badly. Elliot is still hacking and trying to get the footage of Mandy framing Joe. Joe huddles up with her team and they decide to go all out. Joe peps them and tells them to think about every bad thing the Plastics have ever done to them and use it against them. After that, Joe's team levels up with the Plastics and they get to a tie. The Plastics huddle up and Mandy tells them to play dirty. That changes the score again and the Plastics are beating Joe's team up by using their weaknesses against them. Just as the girls think they cannot win the game, Elliot tells them that he has successfully hacked into the system. A second later, everyone's phone rings. Principal Duval sees the video of a girl with a butterfly tattoo kissing Nick and then Nick getting out of a car and putting the stolen charity funds inside Joe's yard. Mandy and Joe come face to face. Mandy takes the ball from her teammates and decides to beat Joe on her own. When Nick sees the video of him circulating the internet, he tries to run away, but the security catches him. He tries to tell them that it was Mandy's idea. When Mandy sees this, she runs with the ball to score a touchdown. But Joe catches up to her and covers her with her body. The ball drops from Mandy's hand and almost touches the line. Abby runs towards it, picks it up, and scores a touchdown. Everyone breaks out in applause. Joe keeps Mandy down on the ground. When Principal Duval gets there, she lifts Mandy's shirt a little and the man matches the tattoo in the video to Mandy's tattoo. Mandy insists that it is not her, but no one believes her now. She is handcuffed and while she resists the entire time, Mandy is taken away by the police. Principal Duval apologizes to Joe and unexpels her. He promises to sort things out for her college-wise. At the homecoming dance, everyone is happy and enjoying themselves. Abby came with Elliot, and Tyler and Joe have gotten back together. Now Joe is all up for getting the whole high school experience. Principal Duval gets on the stage and asks everyone to stop dancing. He tells them that they raised a lot of money for the charity, but when he sees how disinterested everyone looks, he gets to the main announcement of the king and queen. The homecoming king is Elliot Gold. Joe wonders if there is nothing Elliot cannot rig. The homecoming queen is announced next, and it is Abby Hanover. Abby is so excited. She hugs Joe. She has never won anything. Everyone applauses and cheers for Abby. Just as she gets on the stage, Mandy runs towards Abby, screaming and reaching for the crown that is about to be placed on Abby's head. Nick grabs Mandy and takes her away. She is not even allowed on school grounds. After the crown is placed on Abby's head, the king and queen share their first dance. Soon everybody joins in. Tyler tells Joe he has a feeling Elliot was not the only one who rigged the votes. Joe tells him she is not queen material anyway. Sometimes it is not about winning a race but being a part of it. She looks at Tyler and holds him still. She tells him that she has got enough already. Smiling, the two of them lean in and kiss. But not everyone lives happily ever after. Mandy and Nick end up getting community service instead of being in jail. And since Mandy's mom donates a new library to North Shore High, Principal Duval eventually lets Mandy graduate, but she never regains her status. Instead, Quinn becomes the new Mandy but with a few improvements. Chastity, true to her name, starts to practice abstinence. And Hope overcomes her fear of public fountains only to catch swine flu. But she swears to get better. Tyler gets into a college close to Carnegie Mellon, which Joe gets into, thanks to Mr. Hanover and his impressive sales skills. He sold Joe's shop class birdhouse and even got her a great deal for it. Now she can afford her tuition. He also compromised on letting Abby study art so long as she does it at a top college. And so, Abby, too, gets into Carnegie Mellon. Everything turns out well in the end.